All right, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Monday. And S&P finished. You got a little bit of a doji candle for the day. Some back and forth movement today throughout the day. It looks like a couple of times kind of teased us a little bit. Looked like we were going to go higher, but just did not have the momentum to carry us through. And you can kind of see how we ended up. Futures, and it kind of seems this way. It's not every day that this happens, but when futures open up higher, throughout the whole session, and and it kind of just seems like a place to take a little bit of profits on the open. We have a tough time, it seems, to kind of carry that momentum through the day when futures are up 20 or 30 basis points. Friday, I think, was maybe a little bit of the exception to the rule because we had the jobs data, but it just seems to be that way when we start the day up 20 or 30 basis points. It's tough to hold it. Not to say it can't be done, but yeah. So you could see that we had a little bit of a difficult time with the value areas as well on the 5 minute, kind of chop, I would say. And maybe we're just not ready to kind of take that next level higher in the S&P. You could see we did this on the open, just as I mentioned, and then we got smacked down a bit. So it's still kind of leaving some good scalping opportunities. If you're a quick trader, I'm borrowing this word from the trading room today, but if you're a nimble trader, you can certainly trade this back and forth today. I did this once today. I traded some SPY puts just for like a quick 20-minute trade. I actually did not get out at the lows, but it worked. And that's the way I think is the right way to think if you have a long portfolio, or if you have mostly positioned long. I want to look for those opportunities to kind of scalp spies to the short side, right? I don't need to do that to the upside. I've already got exposure. I'll win when the market goes up. But we also did this right at the end of the day, right when we were about. It looked like to kind of had some nice momentum at the end of the day, and you could see what the VIX did too today. The VIX really caught a nice bid till about 11:30. Interesting. There's a couple things that happened at 11:30 today. One, we had two bond auctions, and as soon as that happened, and I don't know if this has anything to do with that too, because these events are not in complete isolation. But Kudlow announced that he might be one of the top candidates for economic advisor. So that happened right around 11:30. But I think also I think the market was dreading these bond auctions because we know what happened last time on the bond when we had a big week of bond auctions. The market got smoked. Equities got smoked when there was not when there was not good demand. So it looks like these went over okay. You could see also we rose into the second bond auction, the VIX. So I think it makes sense to pay attention to this stuff. Some people don't look at these things. I do because it affects equities. If it doesn't affect equities, then it doesn't matter. Then I will tend to ignore them. But things like bond auctions right now are affecting the market in the short term, right? Intraday stuff, and maybe for a couple days, not long term, but the correlations do pick up. When there's some volatility in some different areas. So that's kind of what the VIX did today. It finished up 7%. We had this nice, this was a nice VIX smash, but then right at the end of the day, it came back up. So a little bit disappointing with the P&L, because my P&L was about twice as high as I finished for the day about 10 minutes before the close. The VXN, I also looked at this today too. This is the VXN, as a reminder, is the VIX for the Qs, right? So I don't look at this every single day, but notice it ticked up a little bit today with the Qs up. So I'm looking for any type of signal. When volatility starts to rise, even when the market goes up, it's usually not the best sign in the world. But I wouldn't call this. I would say keep an eye on it. We also have some inflation data out on Wednesday. The Qs, meanwhile, so I spent some time here on the S&P. Let's just talk about the Qs. That continues to be where the strength is. The one thing, I could debate this positively and negatively all day long, but no, I would say the VXN being up 1% is not a warning sign. We'll see if it carries through the rest of the week. Then it's something more to concentrate on. But what I really like here about the Qs is they're still not overbought. The RSI Remember how overbought we were in January, all through this wave up here, but we were still not overbought. So made a 52-week high, didn't close exactly on the highs, but still up a half a percent. And the strength in this, the strength in the Qs was definitely the semiconductors. They were your best performing group on the day. Actually, scratch that. Metals and mining, XME actually finished up 1.1% on the day, but really these semis have been absolutely on fire. We started the day with Micron. We saw that they got a $100 price target in this, so I'm still long Micron. It's now pretty overbought. It could be. We were debating whether or not this is an exhaustion gap. You could have said that, here as well, though, and we edged up higher. But clearly, this is the most volume that we've seen in this, and it does look pretty damn overbought. So I did not take that position, that last piece on. I try to let these winners run, until maybe we duck under the short-term moving average, which is going to be here. But we'll see. That it may very well be an exhaustion gap, but certainly. A lot of call activity. That was on my list today for call activity. It just seems like they're coming in more. There was some put activity too in Micron as well, so it wasn't completely one-sided. But you've got a lot of momentum players. I didn't even highlight them all because it's just too many at this point. But what an extraordinary move in this name. So you can see, there's other names. We saw some NVIDIA calls, which, under a normal day where you don't have Micron up 8%, NVIDIA was pretty nice. And I actually like this setup going forward. I view this as best in breed. It did not get above the price did not close above the March value area, so something to keep an eye on there. But it's almost crossing over here. Maybe one more. It might need one more day for confirmation that this is going to break out. So it did touch a 52-week high. Or it didn't make a 52-week high today. It just did not close at a 52-week high. So definitely something to watch. Again, I view this name, as I talked about in the weekend newsletter, as best in breed. And we saw a little bit of call buying right on the open. Remember, last week we did see some bullish plays. We saw a pretty big bullish risk reversal that was put on, meaning calls bought, puts sold. So I would watch this name for a break higher. And for a move above the level that you want to watch, is this top of value, which is basically 251. All right, so that's I think a must watch right now. Owen Semiconductor saw some more calls. This is more of a spec name, but saw some calls towards the end of the day. Broadcom reports earnings towards the end of the week. Lam Research, Taiwan Semi, also very strong. These are two other names that. I'm not in either one of these names at this point, but they look pretty darn good. I like the Taiwan Semi chart. Remember, we saw call buying all throughout this. Even right after earnings, we saw call buying going out to January. So this, I think, has more to go. So that's the semiconductors. I always spend a little bit more time on the names that really have the momentum, that are the outperformers for the day. Other names, and I've this was all of the day's call activity, which was pretty good, but in a lot of familiar names. Micron takes up several spots. There wasn't the one. I'll go through a couple of the interesting orders, but I would say there wasn't anything that was like jaw dropping. I have to get into this name. I thought the Morgan Stanley calls. I did take this trade in Morgan Stanley. 52-week high today. Again, the overall market's kind of, I'm giving an excuse here to Morgan Stanley because it finished off the highs today. But, I'm playing a breakout at this point in this name. And let's be honest, breakouts have worked pretty well. Another chart that I really like is Apple, believe it or not. Apple, we saw some call buying a couple different times today. And look at this thing. It is what it is. It's been moving sideways. It did have this big dip, and if you bought the dip, congratulations to you. You made a nice trade. But let's say all the way back here, it's just a little bit higher than where it's been. So it could have that next leg to go at this point in Apple. So I do like Apple, and I played Apple twice today. I played it once using the weeklies for a day trade. That worked well. I did try some April calls. I managed to hit the one. I hit the first target right away. I was being a little bit greedy on the second target, and I missed it, and then I just took off the position. But I still think that this looks pretty good in terms of a breakout. A few other names to mention, a few other pockets of strength, which I don't have this one highlighted, but I kind of like the medical device charts here. So Baxter saw some April calls. Baxter, is that you? Baxter, right at that top of value. So, maybe needs one more day of confirmation for Baxter, but right at that top of value, kind of looks like it's trying. It was not able to get above this area, but I highlighted EW last week. We saw calls in this one, and I even I put this breakout line. This is right where we saw the calls, and it hasn't been on fire like some of the tech names with the momentum there, but it has moved from about 136 up to 140. So it looks pretty good. I think anyway. Boston Scientific is another name in this group that saw a little bit of calls. You got a VPOC right up here, so this may be where this is headed. Again, not the best looking candle in the world. With it's kind of a toppy looking candle. So no position in that one. Watching Medtronic, which has not really seen much call activity recently, but I put an alert just to kind of keep an eye on MDT. Big sideways charts, and I like these charts that have had a big we're in a big uptrend and have been pausing for a while. Eventually, they usually resolve themselves back to the upside, I think anyway. But the problem is here you have to wait a few dollars for that confirmation. Or if you don't want to wait for that confirmation, you could just establish a long versus the 200-day moving average, which is this white line going across the screen. But I think it's a little bit early to kind of make that judgment. However, you could get out early if it doesn't. Or very easily if it does not work. And then I would say, while I'm in the healthcare space, Sarepta is one name that's kind of tough to chase this name at this point. But we saw some more calls today. We saw some calls last week as the name was breaking out. So really a hot mover right now is Sarepta, and I think there was a couple of price target raises in this. So some very good call activity that we've seen. You just had to with this name, you would just have to hold your nose and go ahead and buy it. A couple names from last week acted pretty well. Despite crude, we saw calls in Exxon right at the end of the week. It did finish up 1%, again off, as most stocks did. They finished off the highs. Chevron actually finished down on the day, tried to get outside of that value area, but I would keep an eye on that one as well for this week. Speaking of crude, let me just touch upon crude just for a quick minute. It seems like whenever, for the time being, now it did come back, which I think helped our markets a lot, but you could see, that was right around when it seems to be leading the move in equities, right? So it's interesting to say that why it's doing that, I don't know. But this sell-off started, it was weak right around the open and just kind of kept going. And this was the low point that we made basically in equities. This was right around 1130, which is exactly where we turned around. So there's while this relationship exists, intraday relationship, this was 1130 right here where we turned around. So it does seem like there's a relationship there going on with S&P and crude. So again, these are things that I monitor during the day. One or two other trades, and then we'll leave it for the session. I'll talk a little bit more about BABA. I took a decent slug off of BABA. I was holding some April calls. I even talked about this in the weekend newsletter. I was saying, I was looking for this thing, patient, being stubborn, and waiting till this got to 194. So I took my trade off. I took my April trade off this morning, and I rolled it out. I kind of stayed out of the position, wanted to see what it was going to do. I wanted to see if this thing was going to get above this 194 level for the next leg higher. But again, I put this trade on in here, got out of it here. So I just went out another week, and I actually made it into a call spread. So I did have outright calls in BABA. Now that I'm playing and have seen a nice move, and now it's got the hard part, it's got to get over resistance. So I made it into a call spread. So I took some money off the table and kind of structured it out. I went a little bit further in expiration, not much, a little bit further. I didn't want to go into get into earnings, so I took the April 27th. Was it April 27th or April 24th? April 27th. All right, and I made that again into a call spread. All right, so a couple other setups considering the option activity. Was okay today. You know, it's a lot of the same names that we've been seeing the call activity over and over again, but I'm kind of looking for something new. A couple setups that worked. I rolled some calls. You know, I managed a position and I was long some DR Horton. These home builders had some nice momentum. Again, didn't like with everything. Pretty much didn't finish exactly on the highs, but they look interesting. Same thing with Lennar. Lennar needs to get over 60.98 top of value, but they've been showing a tiny bit of momentum the last couple days. Another name that I like here is Align. I put on a trade here and Align right off the open this morning as it's above that downtrend line. It's also above the value area as well. So I like this. I structured a call spread basically to 290, and that worked. That's working so far. And I think that's it. You know, so I put these setups. You know, if you're not a member of Tribeca Trade Group and you're watching this video, we have a swing trade setups where I kind of post this stuff throughout the day. So Apple, Baidu, Align was one. Bots is another one, and maybe I'll leave it here. I think this Bots ETF is just starting to kind of perk up a little bit. It needs to get over the 50-day moving average, and then it will get interesting. The bots ETF, but another area of the market to watch is these robotic stocks that have been a little bit of, not in trouble, but there's some Japanese securities in here which have been kind of weighing down. You could see Robo's actually been acting a little bit better. There's just a different. These are the two robotics ETFs, but they have different names in them, and a little bit more Japanese equities in the bots ETF. So that's, I think, weighing it down a little bit, but it doesn't have far to go. But I actually like the setup. If you're not in either one of these, I actually like the setup in Robo better. But I'm in bots. I'm in bots calls, and I'm also in bots in the ETF as well. Cash. All right. So that's today's market recap. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.